Rainbow After the Storm by Miles Prower 06. Chapter 2. Memories and Meetings. Sweet Apple Acres. 3 years ago. Applejack awoke to the crowing rooster as the sun began to break above the horizon. Rubbing her eyes, she flung the covers off her and got up to greet the day. There were chores to be done. Making sure her hair was presentable, she went down the hall to get Apple Bloom up and ready for Filly Garden. Once her little sister was up and getting ready, she went down and started making herself some breakfast. As the sunny-side-up eggs began to sizzle in the pan, Big Macintosh came into the kitchen.
AJ, we may have a problem,
he said.
Can't it wait, big bro? I just started making breakfast,
Applejack replied.
Nope. Not if you want your new strawberry bushes to stay intact.
That did it.
What? I just planted those last month,
she objected.
Then you might want to get outside,
Big Mac suggested again. Applejack turned off the stove and ran to the side door of the farmhouse and stepped out onto the lawn, where her eyes widened at the scene before her. At least 24 bunnies were hopping to and from her new strawberry bushes, snatching the fresh strawberries that had grown through the summer.
You darn thieving pests! Get out of here!
AJ yelled, charging the group of bunnies. They scattered as soon as she got close, and when AJ had to pick a smaller group to go after, they just reconvened at the bushes. Big Mac had followed her out to her patch of bushes.
AJ, I'm thinking we might need some help on this one. I heard there was some kind of animal handler that moved to Ponyville not too long ago. She specializes in this sort of thing,
Big Mac suggested.
Now hold on there, big brother. This here's our farm, and we can handle any problems on this farm without any help,
Applejack protested. Big Mac gave her his usual blank stare.
Well, alright. If you change your mind, just let me know.
Big Mac wasn't even to the doorstep before his sister gave out her first frustrated yell. He was hoping this wasn't going to take long, but knowing AJ's stubborn streak, it may be a while before she gave in. Not wanting his sister's eggs to go to waste, he went back inside and turned the stove back on and finished cooking them. By the time he had them fully cooked with sides of toast and hash and about ready to enjoy them at the table, AJ came back through the side door covered in thistles and brush and had spots of strawberry stains in her hair.
Alright, who's this animal handler in Ponyville?
She asked, disgruntled. Big Mac couldn't help but chuckle. He had to admit, he was impressed. It only took 30 minutes for Applejack to see reason this time.
I'll go into town and get her. Be back before you know it,
he said, leaving the breakfast for its original intended owner. AJ was only too glad to sit down and enjoy her breakfast.
Enjoy my crops while you can, pests,
she grumbled while Big Mac left for Ponyville. Ponyville outskirts. 20 minutes later. One of Ponyville's newest residents, a Pegasus by the name of Fluttershy, was also getting started with her day. She was in the middle of getting her animals fed when there was a knock at the door.
Who could that be this early?
She asked herself. She went to the door and opened it. There stood a solidly built red stallion with apple green eyes.
Good morning, miss.
He began to greet her, prompting her for her name.
Fluttershy,
she replied sheepishly.
Miss Fluttershy. They call me Big Macintosh. I've heard you're the best animal handler in Ponyville, and we've got a bit of a bunny problem back at our farm,
Big Mac explained.
Oh my, well, give me a few minutes and I'll have something ready to help,
Fluttershy said. It was only a few moments before Fluttershy came out from the side of her tree home pulling a small wagon with a plastic cover on it, stocked full of delicious-looking carrots. With that, she and Big Mac headed back across town to the farm. By the time they got there, it was high noon. The strawberry bushes had been all but picked clean, and now the bouncing bunnies were trying to get after the apple trees, which were fortunately out of their reach.
Thanks so much for coming on such short notice,
Applejack greeted the newcomer gratuitously.
Not a problem at all. I've been working on a habitat for little critters, and these guys will make perfect first residents,
she replied.
Better work fast. By the looks of those clouds, the Pegasus have got one doozy of a storm a-coming,
AJ warned.
I'll have them rounded up and out of here in a jiffy,
Fluttershy said, a bit more assertive compared to when Big Mac showed up. She briefly opened up her wagon and took out one of the carrots and set it on the ground. A handful of bunnies immediately took notice and rushed over to it, nibbling it to pieces in no time. Then, as expected, they caught wind of the several dozen carrots in the enclosed wagon.
You seem to like that carrot, little ones, but you have to make a choice. You can come back with me and have all the carrots you want, or you can stay here and eat some pony else's crops,
she said. The hopping trespassers were indeed far more interested in Fluttershy's enticing carrots over what they could have scrounged up around Applejack's crops.
Not only that, but you can stay in a wonderful little habitat I've built back at my house, so you don't have to bother these nice farmers again. Now, where are the rest of your friends?
Fluttershy asked, walking around to where she saw another small group of bunnies. The wind began to pick up as the afternoon storm clouds loomed ever closer.
We want to hurry up, my little friends. Looks like we have quite the rainstorm coming,
Fluttershy said, pointing to the sky. Applejack and Big Mac were astounded at Fluttershy's ability to communicate with these pesky bunnies. Once she approached them, they fell right in step around her in the wagon. Within 10 minutes, she had them all rounded up.
I'm speechless, Applejack said, simply amazed. So how much do we owe you?
She asked the light yellow Pegasus.
Oh, I don't charge for this work. Mayor gives me enough to cover the costs of the habitat necessities. In return, I offer my animal control services to all of Ponyville. I'll give these guys a good home, don't worry,
Fluttershy said.
I'd offer you something to drink, at least, but at the rate the storm's coming, I'm guessing you want to get back as soon as you can,
Big Mac assumed.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Come on, bunnies, we don't want to get caught in this storm.
With that, Fluttershy was off at a quick trot's pace to try and make it home before the storm hit. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, the first light drizzles of rain started to pelt the house, just as Applebloom was getting home from school. Within another few minutes, the sky was alive with thunder and lightning amidst a downpour.
Ooh-wee. Well, the crops sure needed this, that's for sure,
Applejack commented, looking out the window from the dining table as the Apple family sat down to dinner. After the meal was finished and the dishes were done, the rain finally died down as the storm completed its pass over Ponyville. The storm clouds parted to show the stars and moon with the etching of the mare and the moon on its surface. Not even waiting for the grounds to be relatively dry, Applejack went and performed a quick check of the farm grounds. Checking the barn last of all, she was surprised to see the barn's front door open just a few feet.
I could have swore I closed that,
Applejack mused, hoping no barn animals got out and were panicked in the storm. As she got closer, she heard the mooing of the milking cows. Slowly opening the door just enough so she could get inside, she took a look around and was surprised to find the source of the disturbed animals and the cause of the open barn door. A cyan Pegasus was asleep on a bale of hay in the front corner of the barn. A couple of fully eaten apple cores were on the ground in front of her. She was wet from the storm, and judging from the way she was curled up on the pile of hay and the way her ruffled feathers shivered in the breeze from the open door, quite cold. She looked to be about Applejack's age, and her most striking feature was her multicolored mane. Her bangs were red, yellow, and orange, and streaks of blue, green, and purple went down her neck. Even in its wet, unkempt state, it was beautiful, AJ had to admit. Knowing there had to be a reason this Pegasus had taken shelter from the storm in her barn, Applejack opted not to disturb her for the time being. Instead, she went to one of the far corners of the barn, got a blanket, and gently and quietly covered her with it, and sat on one of the stools among the cow stalls, and waited for her new guest to wake up.